We are live, Freak Nation. Let's get this open rolling. Ready? Here we go.
Live from the Lucas Oil Studios, it's Horsepower Hump Day because every NASCAR fan needs a push of the old bumper to get them over that hump.
Stop. Oh, my God.
Here's Kenny, Crash, Richie, and Cole. Let's get humping, boys.
Freak Nation, my apologies for a late start, but damn it, we are here, and Crasher is there. Crasher in the freezing weather, Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the legendary pagoda behind her. And Crasher, your digits are already freezing. Is that true?
Yeah, my middle finger is definitely already fallen asleep. I mean, the appropriate finger to do so for all the news that's been going on this week. But yeah, it's a little chilly. Not quite the hot weeks of Indy 500 of years past.
So, Freak Nation, this is what we're going to do, man. It's a big hour or so here at Horsepower Hump Day, where every Wednesday, right around this time, typically it's 2 o'clock, but we're fumbling the ball a little bit. We got it taken care of. Rico Abreu will be joining us here in the Freak Nation. 6-time high-limit racing winner this year, now sitting third in points. Most recently, he won where, Cody? Where did he win? Just tell me.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. There you go. And he's got, since I saw him in Texas, this dude is benefiting from the SpeedFreaks mojo. He's got 4 wins.
You're going to take credit, are you?
I'm not taking credit. SpeedFreaks is taking credit, Crasher.
Oh, all right. Then that's fine.
He's got 3 wins the last 5 weekends of racing.
Yeah, we'll take it. So he's benefiting from us. He'll be joining us this hour. Also, we're going back about 7 years where Richard C. Suave, who's typically on this Horsepower Hump Day with us, who's making his way to Indianapolis, he caught up with Helio Castroneves, at the time a 3-time Indianapolis 500 winner. Are you smarter than an Indianapolis 500 race winner from 2018? It is legit. We'll get to that coming up here in the show. It seems that the headlines all seem to be coming out of the where Crasher is. She's facing the media center at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Doug Bowles, Crasher. Hold on, let me just back up just a second. Roger Penske, Indianapolis 500, cheating, firings, drivers getting pissed off. This has been happening over the last 4 or 5 days, Crasher, actually, since the news broke that Penske Racing was cheating with attenuators on the race cars.
It's been a very salacious week. Let's just put it that way.
Hey.
On Sunday, and Doug Bowles addressed this. He doesn't know why Sunday necessarily. Was it called out by a team owner? We know that there was an altercation with Chip Ganassi and Jonathan Gibson. Chip Ganassi, of course, a team owner. Jonathan Gibson, an executive with Penske Racing in the pits on Sunday before the Fast 12 qualifying. Was that what kicked this off? Was it something else? Bottom line, it's been a week. So the long and short of it, the 2 Penske drivers that were going to vie for the Fast 12 and the Fast 6, Josef Newgarden and Will Power, they have been sent to the back of the field because of these bending the rule books, basically modifying the attenuator, the rear attenuator on their Indy cars. That sent them to the back of the field. Again, I don't want anybody. I see people already chiming in with comments. We'll get to some questions here in just in just a minute. There's so many questions that can come out about anything that I say right now. Things have been addressed. We'll get to that in a bit. Those 2 drivers are in the back of the field. What has happened since they were moved is now Roger Penske himself, just this morning, this broke a few hours ago, has released. He has parted ways with 3 of his executives. Tim Cindric, who's been with the team since 1999, and was president of the operations. Of course, Tim Cindric earlier this year had his role brought back just a little bit. Right. Again, questionable if that was his doing or a mutual doing. Then also Kyle Moyer, who was the strategist for Scott McLaughlin, who is arguably the innocent driver caught up in this, and Ron Ruzewski, who was calling the shots on the pit box for Will Power. So wow, you have 3 massive forces in the IndyCar, the Team Penske IndyCar organization, gone from the organization just 4 days before the world's largest race. This after this scandal was found on these Penske cars earlier this weekend. what else is going to drop this week? I mean, we still have 4 days before this race. What else is coming up? It's been crazy. I know we have to address this. We will all discuss this for at least 10 or 15 minutes, but there are so many incredible stories that we need to be following going into the 109th running of this Indy 500 that we need to get to as well.
Including this poor guy is Israeli-born IndyCar Series driver, gets the pole as a rookie, first one since 1983, and he's pushed to the back pages because of the idiocy that's coming out of the camp of the organization that owns IndyCar and Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really a shame because it's not just Robert Schwartzman who is sitting on the pole, like you said, first ever time for an Israeli-born driver to even be in the field. And then the first time since 1983 that a rookie has sat on the pole, but also he's with a rookie team. Team Prema, who basically just put their stuff together last year, just moved into their shop in the Indianapolis area a few months ago. Boom, they're sitting on the pole. Do we want to credit SpaceX for maybe a little bit of a help? Yeah, sure, we can do that. But it's all a great story. That's what we should be focusing on. Let's take the front row in general. Sorry, I'm going to be chatty Cathy here because I am stoked at so many amazing stories going into Sunday. You've got next to that rookie pole sitter, you've got a one-off drive with Takuma Sato, a two-time winner of this Indy 500, who is absolutely on a rail right now, wanting to win his third, driving for Rahal Letterman. Remember, Graham Rahal was almost on the outside looking in on Saturday. So that storyline is incredible. Sitting next to them on the outside of the front row, you've got the first ever Mexican-born driver to ever sit on the front row, Pato Award, arguably one of IndyCar's fan favorite. No, he is. He just is. Fan favorite drivers. And Pato and Takuma partnered up with a rookie. That front row is going to be bonkers coming through. Well, they're not going to have turbulent air coming down that front stretch. They're going to have a clean turn one, but all three of them are going to be driving so aggressively. I just hope they pull their patience back ever so slightly, but that first lap is going to be wow.
Cole Cusimano, you missed last weekend. You were too busy taking ecstasy in Las Vegas for electronic turntable festival there in the middle of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Uh-huh. You missed all this madness over the weekend, buddy.
I definitely got caught up on it pretty quickly, though, in our old Freak Nation group chat. This is all insane to me. Like, has there ever been as climactic of a week in IndyCar for this Indy 500 outside of this one? Because I feel like there's been so much going on between, the rookie getting the pole, all these cheating scandals and whatnot. It just seems like there's so much going on, and there's so much you can really take away from going into this weekend. So I'm really pumped up. And Crash, I can feel your enthusiasm from here. I love it. Right. I want to keep that energy up. I love it.
Honestly and ironically, I believe, I'm going through my Rolodex in my head right now, the last time we had this climatic of a week leading up to the Indy 500 was the last time, the only time that Roger Penske himself, his team did not make the race, which was 1995. So yeah, Penske again, here we are. Wow.
It's tough for me to know where to start with all this. I think, Crasher, you did a hell of a job bringing us up to speed on where we sit currently at this point. If you're not, most of you are not familiar with Media Day for the Indianapolis 500, and that takes place tomorrow, meaning Thursday. And what happens is they bring in all the damn drivers and media from all around the world. They're asking questions of these drivers. And again, Robert Schwartzman's going to be asked about sitting on the pole, this first. But, man, Josef Newgarden, Will Power, Scott McLaughlin will be asked that question about cheating. And they're going to get hammered endlessly, and rightfully should, because who else is going to come out and talk to the press? Who else? I jokingly said this, Crasher. No, I didn't say this. A close friend of the Freak Nation jokingly texted me saying, Bowles is now going to take over Penske Racing. That's a joke. That's a joke, given the fact that he's now IndyCar and now
honestly, though, can we address a little bit of what you're saying there? I know it's tongue in cheek, but Doug Bowles has been through the ringer this week, and I think he has handled things very well. I don't believe we've had this much transparency from the IndyCar series in a very long time. So for him to sit up there and just get peppered by the media with some difficult questions, some very difficult questions, and answering them with every single bit of knowledge that he has, kudos to him. I'm happy to see that because controversy happens everywhere. It happens in every sport. It happens in every business. But to be able to sit there and take the rapid fire questions and answer them to the best of your ability, not trying to hide anything moving forward, good job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't find that transparency often. And Crasher's not saying everything he's saying is everything there is. There's a level of transparency that's come forth due to this that we haven't seen. And according to what we're reading, seeing, same thing that you guys could see, Roger Penske had a brief meeting this morning with the owners of the IndyCar series, and there weren't
the second owners meeting of the week so far. One was on Monday, one was today.
And according to reports, it didn't seem to get too beefy because the owners were pretty much satisfied with the penalties against the two Roger Penske drivers. Am I summarizing that properly, Crasher?
I would say yes. Monday's meeting was colorful. That was something I was texted. And Roger was not on the owners meeting on Monday from what I was told as well. So from Monday's colorful owners meeting to today's more subdued meeting, then again, this meeting was after the news broke about Tim Cindric, Ron Ruzewski, and Kyle Moyer departing the team. There's a lot that has been done, from moving the cars on the grid, the cars of Josef Newgarden and Will Power, to letting go of three of the biggest executives on the IndyCar program. So yeah, I don't know what else the owners could have wanted, except how are we going to move forward with the technical inspection process and the team that does the tech inspections with the IndyCar series? Now, Doug Bowles did address a little bit of that today. Nothing is going to change from now and before the race on Sunday. And yes, there will be a pre-technical inspection on Sunday. Nothing's going to change personnel-wise, but he did not say whether or not things would change as the summer months are upon us.
All right, Crasher, I'm going to try and dial up some memories here in the old brain of mine. And recently, the issues with Roger Penske was Josef Newgarden with the alleged push to pass at St. Petersburg last year that came to light at what race was that? Was it Barber?
Long Beach.
Long Beach, okay.
It came to light in Long Beach when there was someone in race control who noticed during the morning warm-up that the Penske cars had access to the push-to-pass system when no other team did. Just like in the race, you're not supposed to have access to that additional horsepower at the beginning of the race, at the green flag, or the beginning of coming right out of cautions. Yet the Penske team did. There was an allegation, well, no allegation. There was the description from the team that, oh, this was a code we put in during testing and we ran it at thermal. It just never, the code was never taken out. Well, again, believe what you want. What happened with that scandal? Yes, their race win and the finishing position of McLaughlin, those were vacated and they were both, they lost their prize money. They lost their points, put them back in the points run for last year's system. But nobody lost their jobs over it. There really wasn't any other repercussions. So that's why with this situation, regardless if this gave 0 or 1 mile an hour of a benefit to the cars for qualifying for this year's Indy 500, or if it was just a safety thing, regardless of any sort of benefit of blending this the carbon fiber pieces of the attenuator, it's still a trend that is just troubling. You're going against your own series rule book and nobody is paying for it. So that's why I think the owners were pretty happy to see that, yes, finally something caught up with the team.
Let's go to Worldwide Technology Raceway with a controversial finish there where Josef Newgarden won. The controversial finish with the Indianapolis 500 in 2023.
Yes.
Was it, Crasher? Right?
Against Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah. Where Josef Newgarden won. I'm forgetting another one another scandal involving Penske where McLaughlin was pissed at Josef Newgarden, and so was Will Power. What was that? That was arguably the push to pass scandal last year because McLaughlin realized that it was on and he purposely decided not to use it. He was like, wait, am I supposed to use it here? I'm not supposed to use this. However, Josef did use it. So that's where I think that argument came about. I think that's what you're alluding to there. Yes. Yep. Like I said, I was trying to go back to my memory to figure where I was going to actually go to, but regardless, you got it. You summed it up nicely.
But hold on, just
So-
real quick, because I see it coming in through the comments as well. We do have to point out it's not like it's just been the IndyCar team under Roger Penske's umbrella that has had issues over these last 18 months. You can go to the Joey Logano glove in NASCAR last year. You could go to the IMSA race at Watkins Glen last year as well. So again, people are tired. They're tired of this trend. So if something didn't happen as drastically as it has over these last 3 days, something else, the owners would have, it would have been a different perspective. What happened this week so far? Kudos.
Cole Cusimano, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to jump in here, actually. I actually commend Roger Penske for taking affirmative action and making these firings of these 3 longstanding higher-ups at Team Penske, because since I've joined SpeedFreaks, obviously, it's been a theme. I feel like every single week we come to the set where we're talking about Penske and them being cheaters, specifically in IndyCar. And I think when you have someone like Roger Penske, who is an owner of Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar itself, that is a major black eye on not just the series, but his team and him as a spokesperson for the sport and his team. When you have that reputation for being cheaters, and for him to take action and fire these 3 guys was really eye-opening, and I think very commendable. But I think something had to be done, because at this point it's a theme. It's a reputation that you have where you're cheating every single week essentially, and it just compromises the integrity of the sport, this event in the Indianapolis 500. So I think it's a good move all around by Roger this weekend. And I'm sure all the teams out there can agree. I'm sure you've heard the same things out there, Crash.
Teams and drivers, absolutely. It's now, let's move on. Let's get to this damn good race that we have coming up on Sunday. Because can we? I'd really love
Not
to.
yet. I'm not done yet.
Okay, because
Nope.
I'm ready to talk about the last row coming through the field. But go, Kenny, finish up.
Cole, did Roger Penske know that this cheating was going on with their IndyCar series, their NASCAR Cup series, their sports car series? Did he know?
I think the old adage is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But for someone who literally owns IndyCar, I think there's got to be no way he knew, because he wouldn't have fired these guys if he knew that they were cheating, in my opinion. I'm sure certain things in the other series like NASCAR and IMSA, you could maybe make the case that he did know. But when you're literally the owner of the series like that, there's no way you could possibly know that that's the case.
Crasher?
There's an interview that I was texted. I have not watched it yet, but it is apparently public for everyone to watch now. Jamie Little sat down with Roger Penske, and it is on the Fox social media channels as we speak. Allegedly, I was told that Roger Penske, says that they got these attenuators from Dallara. So he's not really putting his team on the hot seat there. He's putting the manufacturer, Dallara, on the hot seat, which is really odd to me. Penske also owns Dallara. So it's just the whole network, the web that is being woven here is just odd. It's very frustrating. I would find it hard to believe if he fully knew what was going on, but the fact that he entrusted Tim Cindric, Ron Ruzewski, Kyle Moyer, and others, I'm going to say, because there are some engineers here that are keeping their jobs, the fact that he entrusted this group of people to carry on his team with that full integrity and that didn't happen, it does essentially fall back on Roger himself.
He knew. And it's up to question a dude that's meant to motorsports. I think there are, isn't a one deal, man. The implications are so deep, far, wide, and over quite a long time. He had to know something's going on. I don't believe for a minute that he is completely innocent from any of these cheating scandals that's transpired with Penske Racing.
I don't know. My thing is just, I don't think you fire guys like Tim Cindric, Ron Ruzewski, and Kyle Moyer if you knew what was going on, because they were longstanding higher ups in the industry for a long time.
Right.
That's my thing.
Think about that too. And Cody brought up a good point here about Austin Cindric. Curious how things would be for Austin Cindric if he doesn't have a race win for 2025.
Ooh,
what's going to happen
point.
next year?
Jeez,
Right?
True.
Nepotism or daddy's whatever it is. Austin Cindric is Tim Cindric's son. Austin Cindric driving the number 2 for Penske Racing in the Cup Series.
Well, it's
Gonna
really
happen
sad
there.
too, the entire history of Tim Cindric's family, both sides, his grandparents, his parents on both sides, deep roots with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and just motorsports in general. So it's actually a very sad story overall, because again, if we're going to say, did Roger Penske know? We could technically also say, really, what did Tim Cindric know? Did he fully know all of this was going on? Because again, this goes back to the welders and the engineers. Cindric's just the boss man up top. Let's just be honest there. I know that's going to create a lot of arguments among people, but Tim Cindric's not the one welding it together. Did he order the code red? Potentially, but we can't prove that.
All right, last question. What happens if Josef Newgarden or Will Power win this race?
We'll have storylines for days.
Pretty much. There's probably going to be a lot of outcry and backlash from that. But, I mean, if their cars pass pre-race inspection, post-race inspection, I mean, how do you argue against that? There are still some of the best drivers in the sport. So it's like it wouldn't be an anomaly if they won, obviously. But it would look pretty bad for this week, obviously. So, yeah, that's kind of my take.
Okay, what about Scott McLaughlin?
That's my championship pick, so I won't.
Yeah. Crasher, again, any three of those drivers, frankly, there'll be questions. And again, the headlines, we know you can go ahead and write them, frankly. But let's get it to Crasher. Let's get into that last row that you're talking about, working their way up through the field for the Indianapolis 500.
First of all, if you're unaware of what the start of the Indy 500 is like, you have 33 rocket ships just pushing air down this front straightaway full of 350,000 people in the grandstands. The air that's created there is very dirty, very turbulent, and it's going to be a cooler day come Sunday, so it's going to be a little bit heavier air as well. I'm telling you, this is set up for, I'm going to hold my breath for the entire first lap, because it is set up for just anything goes. So you're going to have these guys in the very back. And don't count out Rinus VeeKay as well. He knows this place extremely well. All top 10 finishes, I believe. So Rinus VeeKay, Will Power, Josef Newgarden, starting from that back row, watching the three of them carve their way in between each one of these rocket ships is going to be mind-blowing. Now, the two Penske guys, Josef and Will, are doing so with brand new strategists up on their pit box as well. So, let's just get a new communication thread going 4 days before the biggest race of your year. Right. Just to watch that live in process, I think every fan should just really key in on how that develops lap by lap, 10 laps by 10 laps. Mind-blowing what they're going to see there. It's the dirty air all in and of itself is a story. Watching the great fast drivers from the back to the front through that dirty air lap by lap, even bigger.
Kyle Larson was on Pat McAfee earlier today, and one of the things that he hammered home was the draft, how much different it is in an Indy car versus a Cup car, where when you're in the draft of an Indy car, it's as if you are in a tunnel and it just gets quiet. But once you pull out from behind that car in front of you, it's much different than what happens with the Cup car, and how the strategy is much different when it comes to fuel mileage, saving some extra laps, saving some extra, what do they measure the freaking fuel with? Liters, whatever the hell I'm trying to say. Just how the strategy is different from running a Cup car. And getting back to what Crasher's talking about is how some of these drivers will just sit back in that pack to benefit from that break of wind, the tunnel effect,
the tunnel, yes,
and benefit from saving that fuel early in the race.
Well, fuel is not going to be as much of a story in this race, I don't believe, as the degradation of the tires will be. You're not going to be able to see drivers go much longer than 30 laps, especially with the extra weight added by these hybrid cars. So that's going to be a little bit more to watch than fuel. Now, of course, if we get a bunch of yellows, everybody's fuel window goes out the window, literally, and strategies change on a moment's notice. But every 30 laps allegedly is going to be the time that drivers are going to be coming in. The fuel load should be okay every time they come in as well. But like I said, anything can change too. It all depends on how things play out.
Richard C. Suave is actually headed to Indianapolis for his very first Indianapolis 500, and what a freaking Indy 500 for him to attend.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a freaking crash course for Cole Cusimano when it comes to Indy 500, my friend.
Did you say
It's
like
been-
me? Like crash course? Really?
Crash.
Yeah.
I'm taking a crash course right now on this event and IndyCar in general. It really has been very eye-opening. I'm very pumped up for this race. Just the prestige of it all. I think between the parity throughout the field and the starting grid is going to be amazing, seeing certain drivers work their way up, certain drivers in the front kind of try to maintain their position. And the overall strategy aspect of it all was cool hearing Crash's take on the tire degradation. It was cool hearing Kyle Larson talk about how much fuel mileage will come into play. And just there's just so much star power in this race. I'm so pumped up for it. It's really cool.
That's interesting. He thinks fuel mileage will come into play.
He said he felt like fuel was the biggest thing for IndyCar racing, especially in this race. That was cool hearing your take and his take kind of side by side.
Another item he was.
I just don't know these tires with the added weight of the car. I just don't. That's interesting. Now I'm going to be comparing the two on Sunday.
There's a lot to look out for. It's really cool. Controversy, parody. I love it. It's awesome.
Crasher, it's always tough to pick against, which I don't think we typically do, a Ganassi driver winning this race. You go with not necessarily a dark horse, but maybe a midfielder, usually every race. Who are a couple of drivers you're going to keep an eye on?
I love that you brought up a dark horse / midfielder because I am all about Christian Lundgaard right now. I think he has such a solid head on his shoulders. Obviously, he's got the engineering mindset to boot, and he's got a fast car. I mean, those are three incredible traits to have together going into Sunday. I also think he's really grown his patience, especially for a 500 miler. I really, really want everybody to watch Christian Lundgaard in the number 7 come Sunday.
How do you bet against Alex Palou?
You don't.
Right?
You don't. I mean, that's it. Whew. Yeah. I really want Scott Dixon, though. I want Palou. Palou, can you just take a step back just a little bit? Your teammate is a 6-time champion, but only has one Indy 500, and he's going to retire soon. Let's get him another one before he retires. Please, please. The Iceman cometh. So, but yeah, Palou, come on. Somebody else is going to have to play into Palou's day in order for Palou to have any sort of an error on track.
Cole Cusimano, again, we're going to be doing Beat the Freaks for this weekend with Indy 500 winners. But given the knowledge that you've been forced down your freaking gullet over the last the last 3 or 4 weeks when it comes to Indy 500, do you see a dark horse coming from the money stop knowledge that you have?
Jeez, money stop. We only do NASCAR. I don't have that much IndyCar knowledge on my side, but just honestly from what I've learned on the show and kind of watching these races week by week, dark horse Marcus Ericsson, is he a dark horse? I don't really know a whole lot about who's good on the ovals and who's good on what disciplines, but I feel like that's one that stuck out to me maybe as a dark horse.
Go ahead, Crasher.
He's a former winner, but yeah, with the Andretti team, you could say because the headlines are all going to Penske and McLaren and Ganassi, yeah, you could technically say, since we haven't heard much from the Andretti guys, that he's a dark horse, even though he is a former winner.
You don't hear from the Andretti team. You really don't.
That's weird to me, considering there's so much history behind that name.
Yep.
Until, did you guys catch this? The Colton Herta, the phone pranks last night from his bus. Absolutely epic.
That was amazing.
So again, Freak Nation, every Sunday night, we wrap up the weekend with Speed Freaks on YouTube, Facebook, the Freak Radio Network, and then you can catch the show on terrestrial TV, baby, on Racer Network, Mondays, 12 Eastern and Pacific. We'll be live Sunday night. Crasher and Richard will be there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be here in the Lucas Oil Studios. By the time we go live, I could bet you we'll still have a crap ton of Coca-Cola 600 to go. And I don't remember the Coca-Cola 600 not just taking a back seat, but a freaking back seat in the bus like this in a long damn time.
Well, I think Larson doing the double definitely does them a lot of favors. But yeah, between all the controversy and stuff going on for the Indy 500 and just the overall magnitude of that event in general, I would definitely agree.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, again, don't forget, we'll be wrapping it up Sunday nights right here on YouTube. But again, the Freak Radio Network, Facebook Live, and, of course, Racer Network, Mondays, 12.
Cole, did you notice that Kenny asked you and I for our dark horses and he didn't chime in with his?
I think he's holding his cards back for Beat the Freaks, which isn't fair. Give us a dark horse.
You guys
Come on.
Happy bastards.
Come on.
I think Colton Hurd has got something to say this weekend.
Okay.
I do. I like his confidence. I haven't seen him this confident in a long time. If he doesn't make those risky moves that he has in the future, he should, or in the past, he should be sitting pretty this weekend. So that sounds so strange. A freaking Andretti car is a dark horse.
I know.
Doesn't it?
We got to chime in. We know Richie's at the airport on his way to Indianapolis, but he did chime in the comments saying how Takuma Sato and Scotty Mack are great value picks at plus 900.
Richie's money stop. I love it.
Bang. There you go, Freak Nation. His name is Rico Abreu. Talk about some dude that's on fire. Putting some money on this guy if there was a place to put it on. High Limit Racing's own Rico Abreu, as the kids like to call him. He's got 6 wins for the season. He's also got, what'd you say, Cole? 3 out of the last 5 races?
Yep. 3 A-main wins the last 5 race weekends.
Man, dude's on
killing it.
Fire. Flying those Lucas Oil colors. We caught up with him earlier today, talking about a number of things, including the Daytona 500 versus the Indy 500. He joins us now. SpeedFreaks Pits, Lucas Oil Studios. I show up. Let me do this better. Let me back it up here. Let's do this right, Freak Nation. Bang. Freak Nation, Rico Abreu joining us here in the Freak Nation. And you are certainly a benefactor of Speed Freaks Mojo. I show up at Texas Motor Speedway, and you go out there and kick the ass of Kyle Larson, Chris Bell, every other happy bastard that thought they were going to beat your butt in high limit racing. And now you're on a tear with these 4 race wins since Texas, my friend. What the hell have you figured out?
Oh man, ever since I seen you at the races, it's we had to turn up the wick on these guys. We just my team's just been doing an amazing job. I've just been very fortunate to be racing with some incredible people behind me. Ricky Warner, Zach Middlebrooks, Brady Forbrook, just the chemistry. They've all been with me for over 3 years now working on my race car. So we have this really unique belief in each other's abilities to work on race cars, and they allow me to showcase how incredibly fast my race car is on the track.
But let's be honest, man. Drivers talk about finding that flow or finding that lane that puts them in victory circle, puts them in victory lane. Is there anything you could wrap your arms around saying, oh, yeah, it's this set of gear. We're finally learning how to match the gears up with these tracks, something like that?
I think that the biggest thing is just the consistency and feeling every time we get to the track and practice. So we get 3 laps of practice, and then we run right into qualifying in our heat races. So from that practice, that hot lap session to qualifying, just the consistency and feel, and we're not making big adjustments. So we found a box of the torsion bar and shock package. Our engines are running really good right now. So every time we unload, so I've raced 17 times this year, and we've qualified well at almost all 17 races. And that really puts us in position to start up in front of these main events.
Freak Nation, his name is Rico Abreu. Abreu, as a lot of folks call him. I just call him Rico. We'll just roll with that. Sitting third in points, joining us here in the Freak Nation. Crasher's there, of course, at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. People walking behind her. Cole Cusimano's here. We have a special guest that's going to ask some questions here momentarily. But Crasher, go right ahead.
Well, we were talking a little bit off mic about this and how part of the ever-increasing competitiveness of all motorsports, to be honest, but especially sprint cars, is fitness. And what you've done, you've not just elevated your team game with your car and your setup, you've elevated your fitness game as well. Can you talk a little bit about the mental and physical side of how you prepare in the days that you're not racing?
Yeah, I just think it's so important. Just staying active generally. I've been seeing a trainer of Jim Leo in Brownsburg, Indiana, just in the Indianapolis area. Really just working on the attention to detail, a lot of fine motor skill stuff, just so my reaction is a little bit quicker on track and decision making. I think is such a big thing with how I grip the steering wheel and relaxing at times and just processing why you're racing. I think a lot of that comes down to the cognitive cognitive stuff like reaction on screens, and then moving it into just generic weightlifting and fast cardio stuff that's helped me, with controlling breathing while I'm racing. These races are only 30 laps, so they're really quick pace. You race as hard as you can when you're on the track. The pace is really fast, and then it's over. It's like 7 minutes. So we work our workouts around, essentially a sprint car A main event, and I think that's really helped me the last few months. And I've always been into fitness over the last few years, but really just took it to a next level here recently.
Hey, Crasher, can I jump in here real quick? Kyle Larson was on Pat McAfee earlier today, and he was talking about his heart rate monitor that he wears in NASCAR, where he pegs maybe about $145, $150 in NASCAR. But like Rico just said about his heart rate or how it's a 30-minute sprint, what is your heart rate in a 30-lap high-limit sprint car race?
I get up into like the high 160s. So Kyle and I, we finished on the podium a couple weeks ago, and I pinged him on it and asked just where he was, and he was all the way up into 187 when we raced at Knoxville. We were head to head there at the end of the race, and I was like 169, so a little bit off of him. But as I feel like I've aged, my heart rate has definitely changed a lot. So it's been quite interesting to try to build workouts around what my heart rate gets up to in the race car, and then also like my heart rate will just spike sometimes before we even start racing, and I think that's just the anxiousness of me getting ready to go out there and burn some laps.
We had breakfast a couple of days ago with someone who has zero clue really of motorsports, and I started explaining the Indy 500 and the mental capacity and the physical capacity of the drivers as athletes, and his mind was blown away. Can we go back a little bit to you talking about those monitors that you train with Jim Leo, and how that really does help you not only relax in the car, but make better decisions when you are just pegged to the limit deep in a race?
Yeah, I mean, the cognitive stuff, it's amazing what it's gotten to, and just the attention to detail on just fine tuning the mind to process and think things through, and be precise about your decisions. And and that really helps when you get into lap traffic and you're racing against cars you don't necessarily race against every weekend, and understanding and dissecting the race. Is that we're racing on dirt tracks, so the track changes quite a bit throughout the night, and you really got to keep up on that, and then keep feeding your team information. But the cognitive stuff, I've seen a huge improvement, especially myself, would get my heart rate up and then try to make quick reaction decisions, hitting lights, not hitting lights, hitting red lights, green lights, my eyes dilating really quickly, trying to process math problems, with heart rate up to, after you get running on the treadmill or a stationary bike, and you just really push yourself and get your brain really working in areas that necessarily you don't do on a daily basis. I think it's just such a big deal when you get in a intense battle on the racetrack and you have to make a quick reacting decision to pass a guy or drive around the high side of the racetrack, and you don't know if the guy's going to move up or not, so you're thinking about all that stuff, and it just things happen quickly. So if you can kind of simulate that in the gym, and do it on a daily basis, I think it can really help, for when you're put in a difficult decision at the races.
Rico, I really appreciate the insight to the physicality and the mentality that goes into racing these sprint cars every week. I'm curious, looking at the results here from the past few weeks, it looks like you've won 3 A mains in the last 5 race weekends. That's insane to even comprehend. I'm curious, as of late specifically, what's been the difference maker for you and the team? I know you mentioned consistency as being a big contributing factor, but is there anything that you could point to, maybe that's, you've changed or the team's changed that really helped you hit your stride here as of late?
Yeah, we switched some stuff around with the way we balance our tires, and cut and sipe the tires. We changed the groove of the siping, which the tires were seemingly to get a little bit hotter in the end of the
What does that mean, Rico? What does that mean? You're cutting the grooves in the side. What does that mean?
A little razor blade, and you're cutting we have these blocks on our tires that create tread, right? That create traction for the sprint car. So we just stiped them differently, which allows the tire not to blister. I don't know if that's a whole lot of it, but I think it takes a little bit towards the last 5 to 10 laps of the race. And you see, you know, as the years progress here for us, the end of the races, we're continuing that race pace where, you know, we're starting the race, you know, at blistering lap times, and then, you know, we're just trying to make sure we end the race, you know, as the fastest car on the track. So we're always trying different things.
Your buddy Kyle Larson is doing the double this weekend, obviously, at Charlotte and Indy. This is a guy you've raced against, obviously, almost your entire career. When you see the level he's competing at and the fact that he's attempting this double, does that inspire you as a racer, I guess, going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge, and I think it's a big thing for any young, you know, individual coming through the racing ranks, grassroots racers, to know that, you know, that they can follow that path of Kyle Larson, you know, and just putting in that work to what Kyle does. You know, I know a lot of people don't see the effort that Kyle puts in behind the scenes, but, you know, in the bar, he raises the bar every race weekend, and just in getting in all these different cars, and we'll never, ever see anyone, you know, through the rank of our generation come through the sport like he did with his success. And you know, it makes it very satisfying when you can you know, beat him at the races straight up. And he's the greatest driver of all time. And I don't want to beat around the bush by saying that, but it's he definitely has changed the sport of auto racing in drivers wanting to drive different race cars and get experience. You see Ty Gibbs getting in sprint cars, and Christopher Bell's back getting in a sprint car, because those guys know they got to better their craft in the cup cars, and to compete at that level with at that pace and that energy that it takes to finish out those cup races. I think, you know, dipping down back into other ranks of form of dirt racing or any form of motorsports just helps your craft and your experience. And Kyle's really shown that all is, you know, a path that to a path and direction to the way you need to go to be at the top.
His name is Rico Abreu, joining us here in the Freak Nation. 6 wins this season, top 3 in points for high limit racing. We have a special guest that'd like to ask you some questions. A big fan of yours, Henley Christine, our lovely daughter, who's wearing her Rico swag, my friend.
Hi, Henley.
You have some questions for Rico?
Yep, but I will want to say something. It's Hambone Henley.
Oh,
for your correction.
Okay.
Okay, so coming up this weekend is the Indy 500, the biggest race of IndyCar, and the Daytona 500 is the biggest race for NASCAR. Which race would you rather drive, and why?
I think that I would rather get to race in the Indianapolis 500 if I really had to choose, just the history built around there. And I'm a massive Parnelli Jones fan, and Parnelli Jones won the 1963 Indy 500 way before I was born, but I've really studied all of Parnelli's success and I have become really inspired by Parnelli Jones, you know, and what he's done at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I would love to possibly race there one time.
Yeah, it does make sense. And the Indy 500, what is it kind of like in like a sprint cars version? Like, what is the biggest race of the year for sprint cars?
It would be equivalent to our Knoxville Nationals. So it's a big race in Knoxville, Iowa, that gets like 50,000 people attending, and so many people watch.
Did we pass tech?
Evidently not. We're talking about Roger Penske off mic, and all of a sudden Roger Penske came in here and decided to blow us up. Holy smokes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roger.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Rico.
And Rico.
Yeah. Jeez.
But that Rico interview in full will be up on our YouTube page as well, right?
Yes, and we'll change it up for Sunday night as well. Where did we get to the issue of the Apple Watch?
Nope, that's at the end of the interview. We
That's
were
the most
on
interesting thing.
right, exactly. We were on Henley's second question. So yeah, let's get that up on YouTube stat, and yeah, we'll put the watch part in the Sunday night show.
Did you find another internet there, Crasher?
I did. I'm back on the media center Wi-Fi.
Crystal clear.
Yeah, it looks much better now.
Good.
Hey, Freak Nation, real quick before we get the hell out of here, a little bit of a flashback. In 2018, back up just a second. There was from 2013 to 2020, Crasher and I did a midday show on Fox Sports here in Phoenix, and there was it 3 years or 2 years that they ran at Phoenix International Raceway?
I believe it was
IndyCar.
just 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was 1 year where the pre-race extravaganza was at the Top Golf in Scottsdale. And our good buddy Richard C. Suave, again, this is 7 years ago, when Helio Castroneves was only at 3 Indy 500 race wins. So we said, let's have some fun with this, man. And are you smarter than an IndyCar driver? And
You made Suave wear some of this garb as well.
Let's
just be honest.
It is human greatness.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. Enjoy the next 2.5, 3 minutes with Richard C. Suave and Dancing with the Stars champion and 4-time Indy 500 champion, but at the time, 3.
Remember, 3-time Indy 500 champion Helio Castroneves, also Dancing with the Stars champion as well, my friend. Here to ask some questions to you. We're going to ask, are you smarter than an IndyCar driver, Helio?
I tell you, man, I really dig your hat, man.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
And your sunglasses. You know, I'm going to put my sunglasses.
Attaboy, there we go. True or false, Helio?
True.
Go, let me ask the question first there, bud.
Yeah, that's...
The tread width of an IndyCar tire is equivalent to the thickness of 2 credit cards. True or false?
True.
I don't know. I have no idea what the answer is, so we're just going to go with Here we go. Which driver has the most wins at the Indy 500?
Current right now or overall? Well, there are 3 drivers. You're talking about the whole Indy series?
Indy 500 race, all time.
If I listen to the question, I'll probably be able to answer. So I would say 3 drivers, Rick Mears, AJ Foyt, and Alonso Sr.
That sounds correct to me. The best IndyCar driver to follow on Twitter is...
At H3Leo. That's my Twitter, if you guys don't know.
Helio Castroneves, are you smarter than an IndyCar driver? First question. Which Arizona Diamondback was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2015?
Pudge Rodriguez.
Close enough. The Morris brothers, former Phoenix Suns. Can you name them? What are their first names?
The first name I don't know, but I know the last name, Morris brother.
All right, we'll take that. That's correct, Helio. I'm going to name the athlete, and you have to name the sport they play, okay?
Uh-huh.
Paul Goldschmidt.
That must be basketball.
No. Steve Nash.
Oh, that's a basketball.
That's basketball. There you go. Attaboy, bud. Larry Fitzgerald.
I know. Football.
Yeah. How about Shane Doan?
Shane Doan. That's like a porn star. Is that right? Shane Doan. Sorry, Shane. I don't know. What is it? Does he play?
Shane Doan is the captain of your Arizona Coyotes, of course. Yeah.
Shane, I'm sorry.
Last one before we let you go.
Right.
Of course, Kurt Schilling. What sport did he play?
Come on. You gotta know Kurt, huh? Come on, Kurt. Baseball. Come on, man.
There you go. Attaboy, Helio. Helio Castroneves, thanks for playing. Are you smarter than an IndyCar driver?
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Sorry, Shane, by the way.
That's so good.
That's amazing.
And meanwhile, when he was talking about Kurt Schilling, he did not know, did he? We had to feed him the baseball fact.
Oh,
Probably.
yeah, absolutely.
I just like the way it was edited there. Exactly.
Got to make him look good, man. I mean, dude gained notoriety not from winning 3 Indy 500s at the time. It was the Dancing with the Stars championship, the Mirrorball Trophy, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We didn't talk any Coca-Cola 600.
It's a shame. It's my favorite weekend of the year.
Ugh.
But you will see, Cole. I know that you're all about the Coca-Cola 600, and that's awesome. It is an amazing race.
Right.
But you will see the more that you are with us with Speed Freaks, how this Sunday coming up, it's not just one race. It's not just 2 races. It's 3 races. I mean, from Formula One to IndyCar to NASCAR. And that doesn't even count if you were watching sprint cars or late models the night before because you just can't get enough racing on Memorial Day weekend. You'll see that, this entire weekend is just plain incredible.
Oh, yeah. Best weekend for racing, hands down. And I got to say, it feels like a national holiday here in the Freak Nation studio. You got like the Brickyard coming out the door right now. There's flags. There's Indianapolis stuff all over the place. So I'm really in the spirit. It's amazing over here.
Well, we do. We go with we decorate the whole house for all the different holidays. I go straight from fall to putting some Halloween stuff up, to taking the Halloween down, putting up Thanksgiving, taking it all down, putting up Christmas. I go straight into Valentine's Day from Christmas. Then I go straight into St. Patrick's Day and then into Easter. And I'm not kidding you. I go from Easter, regardless of when Easter falls, straight into my Indy 500 decor. So yeah, that's why you step across my yard of bricks when you enter our house. This is a holiday for our household. I don't care, Kenny, if you're not here. It is a holiday for me. It has been. We learned how to sing Back Home Again in Indiana when we were in elementary school. I mean, guys, this is okay. Let's just talk about that for just a little bit. I know you want to go. We're almost done with this show, but we've got all the massive talent and engineering pizzazz that you will see come Sunday, but you will also see cultural and emotional tributes pre-race and post-race, whether that's the singing of Back Home Again in Indiana that every elementary school kid in the state of Indiana knows by heart, or the playing of taps that gets just about every military person and above sobbing, to the pouring and the drinking of milk, whether it's 2% or whole milk afterwards, because you grew up knowing about the Indiana dairy farmers being a part of Victory Lane, but the flyover ahead of time. I mean, there's so much that's built into this race of the Indy 500, but the military stuff carries over into the Coke 600 later that night. All those patriotic schemes that you see on your stock cars at night for the Coca-Cola 600, that's massive and uplifting as well. Just overall, Sunday's ginormous.
Mm-hmm. And something, Freak Nation, if you're not aware of this, Crasher has a history with the track. Her father was assistant medical director at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So needless to say, Crasher, your ties to the track are family deep.
Oh, yes. When I don't remember any of these, but just behind me over here, there were parties that in the 70s of drivers and the medical unit and just drivers and teams in general. And I was apparently in a checkered dress somewhere over there when I was 3-4 years old. And hanging out with drivers myself. Tom Sneva back in the day, the Unsers, I don't remember, but I've been told, and it was a good time.
I'm going to leave the P. Diddy comments out of the show here.
Please do. We're talking about motorsports.
Okay. We've been doing this long enough to know about. All right, we'll just keep it at that.
Here's the deal, though. Come Sunday, the stories to watch, in my opinion, that front row is going to be ginormous to watch because you've got two very hungry drivers with not a ton of patience on the third and second spot, Pato O'Ward and Takuma Sato, vying right next to a rookie who's going to be trained by, I believe Ryan Briscoe sat on the pole here. Am I correct? I should have checked that before speaking. But being trained by Ryan Briscoe and how to lead this field of 33 to the green and how to safely take them through the first couple of laps in Robert Schwartzman, the rookie pole sitter. Right behind him is Alex Palou and Scott Dixon. Of course, Alex Palou, the series points leader right now, winning 4 of the last 5 races, and Scott Dixon 6 titles in and of himself, but only 1 Indy 500 win. That guy is hungry. That guy's very hungry. A Carmel resident, Indianapolis resident, who wants another Indy 500 win before he retires. Go back behind them. You've got my dark horse, Christian Lundgaard. Don't forget 2016 winner Alexander Rossi. Local guy Connor Daly. People are constantly cheering for him. All the way through the field, Kyle Larson. A lot of people want to see him do very well in the double. Whether he takes a win in the Indy 500 or not, they want him to get at least a top 5 and get all 1,100 miles. And then go to that back row, like we talked about earlier here. Watching the two Penskes of Josef Newgarden and Will Power come through the turbulent air from the back to the front. Can they do it without their strategists? They can, but it's an uphill climb that they're going to be taking on that last row with them. Rinus VeeKay, very successful here as well. Watch those 3 drivers from the back to the front. It's going to be an afternoon to remember.
Crasher, it looks like in 2012, Ryan Briscoe was the first Australian to take the Indy 500 pole.
That's who's coaching Robert Schwartzman. He's got amazing advice from his SpaceX engineer, Eric Likely, to fellow pole sitter Ryan Briscoe as his driver coach. He's got plenty of good things going on in his ear, in his team, in his seat. And then, like Will Buxton has told us from his Formula 2 championship days, he's wicked smart as a driver himself. He might be a rookie, but don't count out his brilliance behind the wheel as well.
And who was Ryan Briscoe driving for when he got the pole, Crasher?
Roger Penske. We can't get out of any conversation leading into Sunday without that name, can we?
And we didn't even bring up any of the issues with that Honda may have with Chevrolet getting some love or not getting love or not getting enough punishment.
Let's just see how Honda does on Sunday. Can they somehow find a win with either Polo or, gosh, no, they had Carpenter Cars or Chevy. Let's just see. Let's just see how they do come Sunday, and then we can talk more Honda conversation next week.
All right, man. Just put the wraps on it. We good for this?
Yes, I'm freezing, and I need to get home and get dinner.
Okay. Freak Nation, be sure you follow us on Twitter, gang, because you'll get a chance to beat Cole, Crash, yours truly, and Rico Abreu, or Abreu, as the kids like to call him, for a chance to win a set of General Tires. It's Beat the Freaks for the Indy 500. Follow us at SpeedFreaks on Twitter, as the old folks like to say, X, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to go get me some freaking banana pudding, some apple butter, get all fattened up for this weekend for some great racing. All right, man.
Carb Day Friday. That's where you start to fatten up.
Damn. Richie crapped his pants when he saw his first Top Fuel car. I want Richie. There needs to be a video on Richie Suave, of course, fourth freak. He needs to have a video of him seeing that those cars come out of turn 4 down that front stretch for the first 500.
I want to see him fangirling over Kyle Larson. Oh my God.
All right, Freak Nation. We'll do it again next Wednesday, but more importantly, be sure you're here Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Eastern for your weekend wrap-up. Later.